We're live.
Oh, we're
And
live. All
Here
right.
we are. We are live. Yeah, see, we're still live stream rookies, but who cares? Content is king, like we say. How's everybody doing? It's the start of the week again. Welcome to BioBridge, where we try to connect Japan to the rest of the world. Ibrahim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, but you sound like a veteran now, the way you're announcing this. I
I
love
haven't
it.
asked everybody to like, share, comment. We want to reach 500,000 subscribers in 2 weeks.
All right.
Now it's a little space for us to meet every week.
Yes.
To do a little. We want to keep it short, right? 20 minutes or so, just to say hello, see what's happening in the last few weeks. I love your posts. Checking out some of your posts with the most recently today, the Sarepta thing. They're allowing them to ship again.
Yeah, which is good. So there was a fourth death, but it turns out it was due to it occurred actually beginning of July, I believe. It was in Brazil.
Is it?
But it was actually due to a flu infection.
Okay.
So you have to immunosuppress before giving the gene therapy, right? And then because of the immunosuppression,
they didn't report it.
No, it was. I believe it was reported.
Okay.
And
then all right.
Yeah. Well, so then it was deemed unrelated to the therapy itself. It's related to the immunosuppression that you need to prepare for the therapy. But unfortunately, the boy got a flu infection during immunosuppression, and that's supposed to be the cause of death.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and then I guess FDA reviewed the safety data and is okay to ship again. Which all in all, I think more than 900 patients have been dosed, and then 3 deaths have occurred. 2 in the approved therapy and 1 in a phase 1. So all in all, you have to consider the number of deaths is very low for the number of administered therapy. However, not to mention, you still have to review the safety.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's this today's big news.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the risk of being at the cutting edge of technology. We do wish the company well and also all the patients well. So
exactly.
Hopefully it'll resolve and benefit everybody, I guess.
Yes.
All right. So let's reel it in for Japan. That is the topic of our little weekly meeting here. We want to connect Japan and the rest of the world, mostly starting with the U.S., but in the life sciences industry. I'm mostly biopharma, therapeutics, but we are open to medtech, diagnostics, devices, anything that has to do with life sciences, very early discovery all the way to clinical and everything in between, even post-clinical. Why not? Yeah. So this week we did mention last week that maybe we should talk a little more in general about Japan and why we're doing what we're doing, mainly because we feel that Japan used to be a world leader, but has sort of lagged in the past few decades, and we want to find a way to support all the efforts that Japan is putting out there in order to take back the lead, or at least be back at the forefront of cutting edge science and pharma. So any other thoughts on that?
The thought is we should check if everything's working in terms of viewership. If there are any, is anyone watching, and can they comment if they hear us, see us, and we're not talking into the void?
Yeah. Well, it is early, so I do expect some talking into the void. I would say we need a few sessions before people catch on.
Yeah.
We talk every week at this time, and this is the topic, So I continue to make these shorts, right? And I put those out, and those are catching on. People are watching those, so I'm very happy to know that people are interested in this topic, and it's a matter of knowing, when we're on and what we're talking about. And so I think we need to sort of build a process over time. Mm-hmm. So far, we're just doing a little informal catch up, you and I, every week.
Getting started,
See how things are going. So, like I said last week, we said, well, we'll give a little bit of an intro into Japan, what's happening in Japan, what are the issues, I guess the underlying issues that's been plaguing Japan, and what they're doing about it. Just overview. I think we'll come back to this over time, a few times. But let's start with. I'm going to show.
So today you have a slide set for us, right?
Indeed,
Very exciting about seeing this, and you're going to talk about. You said problem with Japan, as well as what Japan's trying to do now, especially AMED, right? You promised everyone to talk about AMED.
Correct. I will talk about AMED, but before that.
Actually, we do have a viewer. Someone commented saying they just joined and video and audio is clear.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, nice. So thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob. Just put you on screen for a little bit. Just say thank you so much for watching. I do know that I get a little bit of the feed showing how many people are watching, but I think it's more than that usually, because I get feeds. I know I'm checking out my monitor. So other than that, people are watching. I'm very happy. Charles is out there also. So great, happy.
Nice.
Hey,
yes,
that's great. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion. And I have a slide deck that I use when I talk to startups and VCs. Maybe I'll just pick a few slides from there and talk to that and give a little bit of background into what's happening in Japan. So. See, fantastic. So it's
so sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but for people that are watching the Japanese and who can read Japanese, like the meat and potatoes does not translate well into Japanese, because it's just talking about literally meats and potatoes. And
what was it? What did it say? Niku and potato.
Yeah, it's like niku and jagaimo.
It's even translated into real Japanese.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Listen. Okay. I did. Okay. I see Julian saying hello, watching. So hello, Julian. I did see you come in briefly into the room. I didn't know if you wanted to come on and say hello, but you're welcome. If you folks, if you want to come on and say hello, that is a possibility. But yeah, do comment so that we know who to expect. Okay. Anywho, this is a little. I'll pick up a few slides from my deck. And I usually talk about revitalizing Japan. That's really my mission as my company, Tetsunagi. And just out of just for fun, Tetsunagi actually means handholding. I mean, it's obviously a little dad joke on my name, but it means handholding. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so I'm gonna move forward with this. A little bit about my background. Basically, I've spent 20 odd years in the Japanese academia, pharma, and CRO, and these are the various universities where I did my postdoc. I did my pharma time at Eisai, and then I ran clinical studies for Covance, which became LabCorp, which came for Tria, but all related to Japan. I was in Japan for about 12 years and came back to Canada. I'm managing everything from Canada. So let's get into what's happening in Japan. So I categorize the Japanese problems right now into two big categories. One is super famous. Everybody knows about this. It's called the drug loss problem. If you go to Japan and in the industry, you talk about drug loss, everybody knows what you're talking about. Now, and this I categorize this as an input issue And briefly, I'll show you some numbers later, but briefly it means drugs are getting approved outside of Japan, at the FDA, at the EMA, but they're not coming into Japan. So it's an input issue into the Japanese ecosystem. And I don't know if somebody else has used this, but I coined this other problem called the drugless problem as opposed to drug loss. And it's an output issue. And it's really literally the output of Japanese pharma, Japanese biotechs. They're not, producing the new chemical entities at the pace that they used to. Okay.
And I believe there's a term they're using as well called
For
drug
that?
lag. Drug lag.
Yeah. Yes. Drug
Yeah.
lag. They used to call it drug lag back in the early, late 90s, early 2000s, when drugs were getting approved elsewhere and they would come to Japan. They have to run another bridging study. And so it's typically about 3 to 4 years delay to come in to get approved in Japan. So that was what is called a drug lag. And then eventually what people started to do is they included Japanese patients into the pivotal studies. And then that allowed them to do, the three regulatory authorities at once, the EMA, the FDA, and the PMDA, and then get a relatively simultaneous approval. So that was all the rage when I was at Eisai. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's a movement to make it easier as well now, where they don't necessarily have to be apparently Japanese anymore, as long as there's a rationale that the drug would act similarly in the Japanese population. They're showing some flexibility, I believe.
Perhaps what you're talking about is they're removing, in principle, the requirement for Japanese PK. Yes. Before going into phase 3. Exactly. But you still need Japanese patients. A number of Japanese patients before running the pivotal. But it used to be you do your phase 3, it's all set, and then suddenly somebody decides, we're going to add Japan. You have 0 Japanese patients information up to phase 2, and you're running your pivotal. What you need to do is do a run-in study, do a PK for a few Japanese patients, and then they allow you to recruit within the phase 3, but that they've removed that requirement 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago in 23. Yeah. So
we have to have a rationale.
Things are changing. Things are changing, and they're really trying to get alignment with the global the global standards in various aspects of clinical studies and all these approvals and the fundings. They're all trying to get to that alignment with the global processes. So anyways, so the two big categories, we'll start with the drugless problem, which I was mentioning. I'll show you a few numbers. In the 80s, early 90s, Japan was a world leader alongside the United States. So about 1 out of 3 new chemical entities came out of United States, and 1 out of 3 approximately came out of Japan. So that the remaining countries in the world took the last 3 to 4, 30, 40%. But today, it's gotten really concentrated. So you see there's 64, so almost 2 out of 3 new chemical entities now come out of the US, and only 7 come out of Japan. So this was over 4 decades of development, and this is a dramatic decrease in productivity out of Japanese companies. So, it's like one of those, boiling water, slowly with a frog in it and kind of thing. I forget what's it called, but basically you don't realize until it's burning hot, and now it is burning hot. So they're trying to do something about it frantically. There's lots of various initiatives. Can't go into all of them in one session, but we'll go over them a few times. And the drug loss problem, the famous one. The numbers, this is what the numbers say. Up to, I think, 23 to mid 2023, they saw that there's about 200 or so drugs that are getting approved in the US and the EU that's just not coming to Japan. And out of these 143 that would not come into Japan, only a portion is in development, so in preclinical or clinical, but the great majority is not even in development at all in Japan. So companies that created these drugs were just simply giving up on the Japanese market. Now, why would they do that? The hypothesis is that in the earlier days, and most of the new drugs were produced by these established pharma. So their approval rates in Japan have not changed so much over time. But more recently, it's all these small startups and biotechs that's pumping out the new drugs. They just want to get a new win quickly at the US or the EMA level and then exit, right? So they want to get that win, and they don't have time to deal with Japan or the bandwidth, nor how. It's not like these Lilly's and Novartis and all these guys who have a Japanese affiliate to run the studies. They don't have the resources to deal with Japan. So that's why we think, over the past decade or two, it's really accelerated this problem of drug lag into drug loss. All right. So there's lots of problems. These problems have been known for decades, but lack of global talent, lack of funding, complex regulatory and clinical development, and also health economics, pricing scheme, this kind of stuff. This is nothing new, but we're really trying to do something about it now. And one of the big things that I talk about a lot, whether it's at investors and startups communities such as the Bullpen that I'm part of, or at Bio and all these various conferences and gatherings, I talk about this. This is called the Strengthening Program for Pharmaceutical Startup Ecosystem. It is a mouthful, but it's very descriptive, right? It's a program for which the purpose is to strengthen the pharmaceutical startup ecosystem in Japan. And this is pretty cool. I mean, it is the biggest funding model that I have seen, that I have, I talk about this everywhere, and I can't find another example that is as big as this. And the model works as such. First, if you're a pharma startup, and this is a Japanese pharma startup or a Japanese affiliate of a global company, and you are able to convince VCs, and these are not any VCs, but registered VCs, and they have to be registered with AMED. AMED is a body that is the equivalent of NIH in Japan, and they have a fund that is the equivalent of $2.6 billion US. And so the model is, if you are able to get investment from a VC, let's say $10 million equivalent, AMED will put in 200% on top of that, and that is 20 million. The startup suddenly, for the efforts of raising $10 million, ends up with 30 million in the bank. That's definitely a tremendous program for the startup. But not only that, this is also an amazing program for the VCs. Imagine the VC for spending $10 million into an asset. Suddenly, it's as if it's invested 30 million. And it's non-dilutive. AMED doesn't want equity. And AMED doesn't want control, so no board seat. So this is literally handout from the Japanese government to try to really kickstart, reboot the entire system. And they're opening this up to global companies also. But of course, we have to understand this is Japanese taxpayer money. So it's not just a matter of setting up shop in Japan. You have to have a Japan story around your asset. So can't go into too much detail, but suffice to say, you just have to think about how, if you want to get this funding, you need to come up with a Japan story. Is it a Japanese, is it an indication that's very important in Japan? Is it a technology that's related, that comes out of a Japanese university, Japanese company, a collaboration, a joint venture, or even a Japanese professor from Harvard, MIT, etc. You need that bent, Japan bent. Use Japanese vendors, run your clinical studies in Japan, or global study, including Japan, et cetera, et cetera. That Japanese story, the more layers you have, you'll hire a Japanese CEO, you'll groom the CEO to become a global leader, which is, global is a very, very important word for this program. All these things are points, I think, that you can gain towards this application. Now, as I mentioned, the VC, it's also a tremendous program for the VCs. So the VC does not need a Japanese affiliate, by the way. So you can get registered with AMED and play in this field and invest in companies in Japan. So that's also something that's many VCs are looking to do right now. I know these guys at AMED, and they're telling me they're getting so much requests from VCs, but it's not just money. You can't just bring money and say, well, I'm in. You have to show a good track record in the therapeutics, in life sciences. You have to show that you've got 3 to 5 years of track record. You have 30% or more in your portfolio of these therapeutics. So those are, there's various parameters, obviously, that you need to satisfy. But hey, if you satisfy those, or if you're a pharma that's thinking about the Japanese market anyway, this is a tremendous program to take advantage of.
Yeah. So just to add,
Yep.
In terms of registered companies, there are some names that I wanted to read. This is as of April 1st, 2025. There's 4 bio partners. It's a London-based VC, Henri, ANV, Estella's Venture Management, Beyond Next. Blackstone is also in there.
They just got registered in the last round. Blackstone, EQT. These are 2 that just got registered.
Yeah. Catalyst Pacific,
yes, they've been there forever.
Who has Mineralis, they're developing Mineralis. They're there. DCI Big Partners, names. 8 Roads. F Prime is a big one. Yeah. A Fast Track Initiative. They had a recent win as well. KO, Kyoto, Mitsubishi UFJ is also, MUFG is also in there. So there's some big names, and I'm sorry if I didn't read any particular name there, because Saisei Ventures, that's a big one too.
Yes, indeed.
So there are some good names in there. And then just to add, I mean, you might have made it sound a little bit complicated in terms of you have to have a Japanese connection and whatnot, but I think it helps to know the motivation also.
Yeah.
Right. Is that obviously the bottom line is they're using Japanese tax money to subsidize it. So obviously they want benefit coming in to Japan from that taxpayer money. So, just go behind the psychology of why they're adding these little fine prints, and then it makes sense.
Yeah. Right? No, you're totally right. That's exactly what I tell the folks. It's not one thing that's gonna, make or break your application, but you just the way to think about it is, how it's taxpayer money, and if you're managing that taxpayer money, then how would you think and evaluate your asset from that perspective? And as a matter of fact, I do have an assessment form on Google Form that I created. So if you guys are interested, I can send you the link to that, and you can sort of check where your strengths and weaknesses are as a pharma. I also have another one for the VCs. If you're a VC and want to, interested in this, give me a shout, or write in a comment, and I'll follow up.
There's a question that came in. Jacob is asking something. You want to put it on the screen?
Yep. So Jacob asks, are there any therapy areas that are prioritized by AMED for funding? They do like platforms. They do like cutting edge technology, like cell and gene therapies and whatnot, because it is, again, if you think about it, it's a way to strengthen the Japanese ecosystem. So you want to, the more you can push science. Of course, a very wide and big unmet need is also very important, but they don't say it has to be oncology or it has to be neurology. They don't say that. What they do say is it has to be one indication, one asset, one indication. They don't fund the company. They fund the project. That it's a general way of thinking. I hope that answers your question.
Have you had experience with the application?
Not. I haven't done any direct application. I've almost brought a company to do the application, but we after doing some research, we found out that they didn't have a critical element. It was a very different regimen in the U.S. versus Japan, and so that we had to drop. But we're still in contact. Maybe a second follow-up indication could do it.
Nice.
But I do, something that I think people should know is it used to be only for phase 1, phase 2, and now they've kind of went upstream a little bit. So they say technically you can start at 2 years before candidate selection, even though I think that's a little too early. But I think if you're ready to do your long-term talks, that I think would be a good timing to apply. And it's just sort of my gut feeling. But the earlier you plan, the better it is. It always takes a little more time to plan things out, make your connections, to increase your knowledge base. So all this, the earlier you reach out, I think the better your chances. That's the
And I've you and I both have talked to people from AMED, and very nice people, easy to talk to. So they're there to help you, not to create bureaucracy either. So like you said, reach out early and ask.
Yep. That's right. Okay.
And interested, you're working with clients that have gotten AMED funding.
Yes.
I've spoken to them as well. So
yes, indeed, one of my clients is a gene therapy company, and they were, so now AMED funding, I think it's in the 8th round or something, but my clients were in the 2nd round. So this is like near the end of 23 when they got their Series A, and that was $12 million approximately from the VCs, and another 36 from AMED. So a total of not 36, 24. So a total of 36 million US. That's it's not it's something for a Series A. It's big for Japan, but it's not the biggest one that AMED has handed out. I just know we just had a record in one of the latest rounds. I think they handed out $40 million. Nice. The maximum that they will hand out is, what is it? 44 and 20. So 22 million from VCs, and AMED will put in another 44 on top of it. That's the maximum theoretical amount. So it's 100 oku, like 100 oku. What is oku? It's 100 million. So 100 million, 100 million. So where's my math? That's $10 billion.
I think you're gonna have to write it down.
Yeah. 10 billion Japanese yen is the maximum that they will fund, including.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So with 66 million, you could do a phase 3 and a phase 2. Yeah, like you could.
Well, this program, like I said, is before candidate selection, but up to and including phase 2 POC. So they will not fund phase 3. But if you're asking for funding for phase 1 or phase 1/2, you will earn points if you already have your phase 3 mapped out, because they will ask you for like a mapping of everything up to exit. So that part,
so you can't use this for phase 3, is what you said?
You cannot use it for phase 3. You cannot use it for phase 3.
Oh wow,
okay.
That's a lot of money for up to phase 2.
Well, indeed. Well, but yeah, think about it. Phase 3, they consider that by then, you're big enough, you're strong enough, and you're a good target for pharma who will take over,
like real funding. Yeah.
The AMED is really trying to fund that very high and risky, phase, the early phases where even the VCs are kind of being, very reluctant these days. So
the biggest value inflection point.
I love that part. I mean, in my past life, I was running clinical studies, but mostly phase 3. But by that time, it's really just operations, right? But this early part, when you go in with the IND and in the phase 1, phase 2, it's really testing out the science, and that's just so exciting. That's so fun. But anywho, so
Wow, it's been 30 minutes already.
well, I was gonna say. So I'll just end quickly. So other initiatives. So that was for Drugless. Now it's for drug loss. But there's nothing really original. It's basically companies are going out and setting up offices in Boston and San Diego, San Francisco, and even PMDA just set up their Washington D.C. office last year. Like, wow, it's like I thought they were there since forever, but no, they only opened their Washington office in November 2024. So they're also out there, trying to gather lots of talking to companies and I guess sharing information about running clinical studies in Japan and how Japan is a great market. So I do talk to these guys and try to help where I can. In fact, I just ran a forum at an event in Boston during the bio. So I had 3 VCs, these 3 registered VCs, and also AMED, the top guy running the AMED program with us. And that was lots of VCs, investors, and startups were in that room, and that was a lot of fun. So there, like I said, there's more and more attention to this. So it's a great time to look at Japan as a market for your research. Let me see. I think Jacob has another question here. Let me put.
And thank you, Jacob, for asking these questions.
Yes, thanks so much.
We love the interaction.
Yeah. Okay. We're back to AMED. Is AMED funding for equity or pure contribution to drug entry? It's not for equity from AMED. Like I said, AMED provides the funding as a handout, as a subsidy. And it is really, well, I don't know what you mean by pure contribution to drug entry, but it is to help the companies, well, to get into clinic up to and including POC. Yeah. And for Japanese companies, like really, if like my clients, one of the mandates is that they have to run a global study, whether it's phase 1 or phase 1/2 or just phase 2. It has to be a global study, and the definition of that is including or excluding Japan, but it has to be somewhere outside of Japan. Now, if you're a global company coming into Japan, you have less of an issue with that. But for a Japanese local company trying to go global, this is a huge hurdle. They have no experience dealing with the FDA. They don't know how things work outside. And besides that, it's a very basic, English issues, finding good, talents, that bilingual talents who know about clinical studies or know about research, R&D, all these things to align. It's not easy in the Japanese market.
Have you just described yourself?
What are you talking about? I'm just trying to talk about you.
So no, that's your mission, right? Tetsunagi.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I've done enough.
Clients that you do have are companies in Japan that are trying to set something.
Well, look, I feel like a dentist, saying you got to brush your teeth, you got to, or a doctor who says you have to take care of your health. I'm actually going against myself at the same time, but look, it's good for everybody. Japanese students studying abroad are coming back with bilingual skills. There's more and more of these talents, and there's more and more researchers who have this entrepreneurial mindset. All these things are moving and are going in that direction. So definitely, it's in the right in the right direction, I think.
So if you're one of those people and know someone, like really the BioBullet Train group is like really to connect these kind of people together as well.
Yes, there you go. It's a great time to share some information about our BioBullet Train group.
So that's actually a community group basically on LinkedIn. And you and I have basically invited people that we know are interested in Japan in any way in the life sciences. But really, we're just getting started. We're introducing each other, but really, it's anyone who's interested in that intersection. So you
But
don't have to
folks
be
are.
bilingual.
Mhm.
As long as you're interested in something about Japan and the life sciences
Yeah,
industry, like you're really welcome there. And it's
exactly,
really, if
exactly.
it ends up just being a directory, I'm happy with that as well. Like where it's like, oh, I know someone working on um, siRNA. Oh, I know this guy,
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. So it's really as simple as that initially, or even just talking about AMED,
yeah,
that sort of.
and folks are throwing around these, sharing, reposting information from Japan or related to Japan, and it's great to interact within that community where everything has to do with Japan. That's where you can get your the cutting edge knowledge, or the most recent news and trends are being shared within there. Alrighty. Okay, so I think we should wrap it up pretty soon. Let me just show you this. This is a key word, a key acronym that I made up
You created this?
earlier. Yeah, well, I created it
Uh-huh.
with the help, of course, of ChatGPT.
Ah,
But I was at a meeting in Washington D.C. with AMED, PMDA, and my past colleagues at ASI, and some consultants who live in the East Coast or who are coming in from Japan. That was a great meeting, and it was a really fun meeting where we talked about the future of Japan, future of drug discovery, future of pharma, all surrounding, of course, Japan. And at the end, we said we must find some sort of slogan, something that we can hang on to, something that we can remember for our meeting. And on my way back, I sort of asked ChatGPT, with the contents that we talked about, and it gave me this J Prime. I thought this was really good. It's a nice acronym to let you remember all the reasons why it's good to go into Japan, and not just for people who have a stake in Japan like myself. I want to give back because all my career is comes out of Japan. But I think anybody who's outside of Japan should look at Japan today because of J Prime, and anybody can contribute to revitalizing Japan, whether you know Japan or not. And the reasons are J for Japan is still a huge market. I mean, it is. It's still a huge market, especially in pharma with the aging population. So it's not a negligible market, that's for sure. And then P for premier science and innovation. I mean, there's not a lot of arm twisting to make you to convince you of that. Next, I think this is really important, is reliability and integrity, and this is related to Japanese culture, the Japanese people, Japanese workers. It's a soft asset or soft skill that's hard to quantify, but it's definitely not something to neglect. It's something that does produce very tangible outcomes. So I think this reliability, integrity of people who do what they say, who come on time, all this translates eventually into business costs or cost savings, right? And also for related to drug development per se, the infrastructure. I mean, I've been running clinical studies in Japan for over a decade, and it's very efficient. It's very effective, and you just kind of have to know Japanese and the way to work around, to get around. But if you do, it's super efficient. And the market as a whole, market access, stability, low crime. You lose your wallet, you'll find it with all the money inside. All this kind of goodies again is reducing the business costs when you enter the Japanese market. All these things you don't automatically think about, but it's hidden costs or the lack thereof for a market like Japan. And finally, the timing. The timing is fantastic right now. Well, not only due to the funding that I told you about, there's a lot of government interest, so there is a very open mind towards foreign companies, collaborations, globalization, and there's a lot of support for that. But also the yen has, cratered about 50% in the past 4 to 5 years. So just before the pandemic, the yen was at almost at parity with the US dollar. That's 105 yen or so for $1. But now it's at 150 yen per dollar. So every dollar you spend in Japan, it goes 50% more. And so it's a great time to go in to invest in all the goodies that's mentioned previously at a bargain price. So why not? Why not give it a try? You've got so much upside compared to a downside. And if you need any help, Ibrahim and myself, we do have experience. We can give you some pointers, and we can connect you to the right people, connect you to the right information, whatever you need. This platform that we're starting right now is precisely about this. So that's my spiel sort of for today.
The weak yen is bad for travel because your bag gets heavy coming back. You just end up shopping a lot.
That's true. That's true if you go to Japan, right?
Yeah. So sorry.
Wow.
What are we gonna talk about next week? Do we have
next week? You know what I thought? One of the things that we wanted to do here. If you notice, right below the screen, we have text. This is captions, right? And we were able to come up with translated captions in real time. And that is because we're speaking in English and it's coming out in Japanese for Japanese viewers. And I'm thinking, Ibrahim speaks perfect Japanese. We can do this make this into a bilingual platform, bilingual show, where sometimes we'll do sessions in Japanese and English speakers will still be able to, follow along. And next week will be our first session in Japanese, where we have guests who are coming on with us. Guests from my alliance partner in Japan, from a company called Crosscare, and they are a very big resource for me when I have people asking me about how do we access Japan, and I run out of bandwidth myself. I connect them to Crosscare. They have all sorts of functions within the biopharma industry or medtech, anything in the life science, I should say. All these experts. It's a platform of maybe more than 1,000 experts, whether it's regulatory or business development or clinical PM or pricing, whatever your needs. They're able to find an expert. These are basically freelance consultants, and myself, I'm also registered with them, by the way. And all you need to do is register with Crosscare, and they take care of talking with you, finding out your needs, and assigning the right expert to your project. And it's a very flexible way to access the market very quickly. If you just want to find a few potential clients or potential partners, you can go through Crosscare, and I'll let them talk about it. I'll let them talk about their globalization plans and all that. I'm really interested in that too. So yeah, that's what's coming up next week. All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you look
excited. I'm gonna have to brush up my AI to speak Japanese for me.
What are you talking about?
I have to train it. It's funny. I was at Bio last joke, but I was at Bio and I was talking to I went up to this Japanese company. I said I started speaking in Japanese, and they were like, "Wow, you're Japanese, right?" I was like, "I actually have AI behind me, right?" And there's actually a female called AI right there. She's like, "Oh, I'm right here."
I don't know. Yes.
Yes. So be careful what you joke.
Yeah, that's right. If you're if you speak Japanese, or you catch that joke a little better. But AI is a common Japanese women's name. Yeah, it's a very common Japanese name for a girl. It actually means love. So it's very nice. I love that name. Ai-chan. Ai-chan. It's very cute. Yeah. It's very cute. All right. Anyways, Well, thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you, Jacob, for your questions, and Julian and everybody else who's watched but not said anything. But that's fine. We just want this to be beneficial to everybody watching, and yes, we'll be back next week. It's a Japanese language session with Crosscare. So please do look forward to that, and do come on. We will have subtitles in English, so don't worry. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.